Welcome to a special edition of Gospel Truth with Andrew Wommack, a teaching ministry that focuses on God's unconditional love and grace. On today's broadcast, Andrew is joined by David and Tim Barton as they discuss America's systemically anti-racist heritage. And now, here's Andrew.
Welcome to a very special edition of our Gospel Truth broadcast. You know, we're approaching Thanksgiving, and I am just really upset about the way that people have been trashing this nation and doing things. And Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I love it because, man, it's just it's a godly thing to thank God. You know, Christmas, I enjoy that, but man, it's been so commercialized, and you can go into Easter and everything, and they've been changed to where they talk about a rabbit that lays eggs. It's just weird. But Thanksgiving is in my estimation, the most godly holiday. And this year, I know that there's been so much misinformation. I'm being generous. It's actually lies that people have been saying about this nation, and there's a lot of people that honestly don't feel like we've got a lot to be thankful for. And so I just determined to do what I can to change that. And so today I brought on my good friends, David and Tim Barton, the dynamic father and son duo. I tell you, they are just awesome. And David happens to be on our board of Truth and Liberty, and they are experts in American history. And so we want to just discuss what is really true about the founding of this nation. And of course, there's no nation that's ever been perfect, and there's plenty of things that are wrong. But I believe that America is the most godly nation on this planet. It was founded in that. And so we're going to counter some things. So welcome, David and Tim Barton. We are glad to have you.
Good to be back, bro.
And you are your organization is called Wall Builders out of Aledo, Texas. You got a museum there. I've been with you. It's just awesome. And you own the largest private collection of early American history. Is that correct?
That's what we're told. So I guess that's right. That's what people tell us.
And anyway, if people don't know you, right before we get into this stuff, what is Wall Builders all about? What do you do?
Okay, I'll jump in. So we say that we try to present America's forgotten history and heroes with an emphasis on the religious, the moral, and the constitutional heritage, which are the things that we see so often under attack today. When we see things that even right now the presidential administration is doing, and people argue that's not constitutional, most people don't even know what the Constitution is anymore. That's right. So we try to help reteach those principles from the Declaration, from the Constitution, and reintroduce people to the real history of America. I know over the next week or so, we're going to get into a lot of the accusations said about America, and we'll unfold why so many of those just are not historically grounded in truth. And the reality is most people just don't know what's true. So we try to go back with original documents and say, here's what actually happened. And we brought a lot of those things with us today.
And Wall Builders comes out of the Bible book of Nehemiah. So what we do with Wall Builders is the concept of everybody joining together to do something to rebuild what's been torn down. And clearly history and heritage has been torn down, Constitution has been torn down, the nation they're trying to tear down. And so if everybody gets a piece of truth, some of the things we're going to talk about over the next few days, and starts telling it to other people, that's part of rebuilding. That's bringing the nation back up. So it is an emphasis on everybody doing something. You don't need a national mouthpiece to do this. You need to be your own mouthpiece to those around you. Song of Solomon 8:13 says, your friends listen to your voice, so speak. And that really is what it takes to rebuild. So that's why we like the book of Nehemiah and the story of Wall Builders. It's the greatest grassroots effort in the Bible, and what nobody thought would be possible, they got finished in only a remarkable time, a short 52 days.
So do you actually know how much material you have on your website? Like for instance, and on ours, we have 200,000 hours of free teaching. Have you ever figured out how many different topics and stuff you got?
I would say no, because every time a new thing comes up in culture that is a bad reflection of history or tries to make alive history, we'll put something up on it. And then so students will check in, and legislators will check in, and citizens will check in. So I don't know how many thousands and thousands of articles we've got, and it deals with so many things that have come up over the last 20 to 30 years. I don't know that we know what's on the website.
Several thousand articles for sure. and then all
thousands of video clips.
Yeah, all kinds of other resources, a lot of original scanned documents, that a lot of what we'll talk about over the next week or so, and much more from our museum. We try to get high-res images of there because we know even online right now, there's a lot of censorship from big tech. Even with original documents where you try to look something up and it won't show you the actual original document. And so it's another thing we're trying to do to preserve history is take those documents we have, the really incredible collection God's allowed us to compile, and we try to scan and upload that. And it's a continual day-to-day, every week we're loading new things on the website. So there is probably a known number. I don't know what it is right now, but it changes every week.
Yeah. Well, it's a great resource. You guys are a national treasure. I love you. Man,
Thank you, sir.
You're awesome. All right, so they're trashing. In 2020, man, we heard all of the woke stuff, and they're tearing down these statues, and it's crazy. I mean, even if you were somehow or another just totally against slavery and any person affected with slavery, they're tearing down statues of people that were supportive of the
well,
freedom of slaves.
Well, that was what was really ironic, is because the media picked up their narrative and carried that narrative that what we're tearing down is racist individuals. We're tired of racism in America. We're tearing down racist individuals, particularly Confederate individuals. The Confederacy, all bad, everybody there, you got to tear them down. Okay, even if I gave you that, and that's not true.
I disagree with that.
There's a lot in the Confederacy that were not pro-slavery, just like there were slave people in the North, pro-slavery people in the North. But let's give them that. Let's say, okay, let's give you that the South is all slave. Then why did you tear down the statue of Ulysses S. Grant, who led the Union Army in defeating the South? Why did you tear down the statue of David Farragut, who is the Union general over all the Navy? He's the admiral over all the Navy who defeated the South. Why did you tear down the statue of Frederick Douglass, a black civil rights leader? And why did you tear down the statue of the Massachusetts 54th, the first black regiment in the Civil War, breakthrough regiment?
Or more specifically, defaced it.
Defaced, that's right.
But it is interesting, when they said that we are going to go after all of the racist people from American history. This is where they really revealed they know nothing of American history.
That's right.
Because they said, well, if it's an old person, they must have been racist. Like, it's utterly ridiculous because, to your point, so many of the people they targeted were actually abolitionists fighting against the slaveholding South or slavery in America in general. And this is where, again, what we are seeing in America now is not a movement motivated by truth. It's motivated by emotion. If it was motivated by truth, we'd be saying, hey, these are the individuals we know, here is their actions, their behaviors. But even then, it's interesting, if we wanted to say, we want to tell people the truth about America and how bad things were in America, then you wouldn't even tear down those monuments. You would use them as the place where you talk about how bad those things were.
And I would take it even a step further, that it's not just after racism, it's an I Hate America movement.
It is.
Because they tore down World War I memorials, World War II memorials, they tore down countless statues of Jesus. They tore down things that have nothing. They tore down founding fathers that were anti-slavery, who set up the first anti-slavery societies. They just tore down America.
And a lot of these were defaced as well. So you're saying torn down, but many of them they just vandalized.
Right.
They painted, they broke things off, body parts off, whatever the case might be. But it is very much an I Hate America movement, because for the last several decades, this is what has been being taught in the education system, both at the college level, both in public schools in America, that kids are learning America's fundamentally evil, which is, to make the point in case, if you ask most kids, give me a list of all the good things about America, give me a list of all the bad things about America, the list of the bad things would far exceed the list of the good things, because that's what they've been taught, not recognizing that, of course, no nation's perfect, but America has been the greatest force for good the world has ever known, arguably. And America has done more to bring freedom and stability to the world right now, even helping end slavery around the world. America's the greatest force for that right now, but kids aren't learning any of the positive things. They're learning the things that are very critical or negative about America. And a lot of the things they're learning are not even true.
That's right.
Which is very easy to back up and historically show, no, it's not accurate at all. To your point, when you said that you think Thanksgiving is one of the most godly holidays, I agree. I think Thanksgiving is one of the best holidays. Certainly it's the one I enjoy the most. I think Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July are by far my favorite. Now, Easter, of course, as a Christian. But when you start...
Well, the resurrection of Jesus is awesome, but all of the stuff that you know
the
that
surrounding,
they
the way it's celebrated is not,
But when you look at Thanksgiving, there's a movement right now in America today to say that we don't want to celebrate Thanksgiving. In fact, in many cities and counties in America today, they're saying we will no longer recognize Thanksgiving as a holiday. We now are going to recognize what they call a day of mourning. Because what they say is, this is a day when white people stole all the Indians' land, and actually, that's part of what the Pilgrims gave thanks for. They were giving thanks because now they own the Indians' land. Things that make no sense.
We have professors that say that the Pilgrims were giving thanks for how many Indians they'd killed the previous year.
Oh,
that's actually some of the claims that are.
I hadn't even heard that.
Oh yeah,
it's terrible.
What's in academia right now is pretty unbelievable.
All right, so let me throw this out. We're hearing that America is systemically racist. I believe just the opposite. How do you counter that?
If you believe the New York Times, we're systemically racist.
Now, say what this is.
This is what launches what's called the 1619 Project. So that 1619 Project, the New York Times says that this is the day that defines America. Everything in America goes to here, and this is the beginning of slavery in America, and there's nothing in America that doesn't come from slavery. And so, as a matter of fact, these are all little banner headlines that they have. This is one of their claims. It says, our founding ideals of liberty and equality were false when they were written. Black Americans fought to make them true. Now, wait a minute, they were false when they were written? I think if you say all men are created equal, that's not a falsehood when you wrote it. You might argue that it wasn't applied well, but you can't say it was false when it was written. Those are
well, also, let me interrupt just to say that people take everything out of context, too. Sure. There was no nation on the planet that didn't have slavery.
Correct. That's right. That's
and
exactly
our founding fathers actually tried to eliminate slavery.
Well, if you just had a couple of dates, and we'll get into some of this later, but if you take the fact there is no place in the world as a large geographic area that banned slavery before the northern states did. By 1804, every state had passed an abolition law.
Every northern state.
Every northern state had passed an abolition. So nobody in the world did it before the northern states.
You got your son corrected.
Oh, absolutely. You need to, because you got to be super accurate. So the next thing is nobody signed a law banning the slave trade before America did. We signed the first law in the world to ban the slave trade.
So Thomas Jefferson signed that law on March 2nd, 1807, which the Constitution said that slavery, there was a 20-year provision that you couldn't end slavery for 20 years, because this was part of the negotiations between the northern and southern states at the Constitutional Convention, that the southern states, even though they recognized the slave trade was bad, they still recognized that slavery was an important part of their economy, and they didn't want to live without slaves yet. And they said, okay, well, let's put it off for a little bit. We agree it's fundamentally wrong, shouldn't be here, but let's give it a little time. So there was a 20-year provision put in the Constitution, and that 20 years was up at January 1st, 1808. So Thomas Jefferson is actually the president of the time. He petitions Congress, says, guys, it's coming up. We need to put an end to this slave trade. So Congress passes that piece of legislation. He signed it into law, and it was signed on March 2nd, 1807, went into effect on January 1st, 1808. We were the first nation in the world to sign that law. England signed a law about 3 weeks later on March 25th, 1807. And people argue, well, but England's law went into effect when it was signed, so technically they're the first nation in the world to ban the slave trade. And this is where studying history, and I know this might be in the weeds a little bit for people, but for us, we enjoy it. When you study history, when England banned the slave trade, one of the things that they made an allowance for was if any of their ships had contracts to transport slaves, they could fulfill their contracts, they just couldn't take any new contracts. So when their law went into effect, they still had many ships, and actually for years, continuing in the slave trade. So our law was signed first, and when it went into effect in January 1st, 1808, we said, we're done. No ships anymore can do this. And it actually did end the slave trade in America. And not only that, we were the first nation effectively to sign a law and to ban the slave trade. England was right behind us, but both of our nations together recognized the great evils of the slave trade. And so America sent a naval fleet off the coast of Africa. England sent a fleet. They joined America. We joined forces, and we began firing back and stopping any of the slave ships coming off in the slave trade, and turning them back, saying, no, you can't kidnap and sell these Africans around the world.
All the other nations, whether it was Portugal, whether it was Spain, whether it was France, whether it was Denmark, whether it was the Caribbean nations, all these nations going to Africa to take slaves, there's 2 squadrons now going up and down. Now, granted, the coast of Africa is thousands of miles long, and you're not going to stop every ship, but they stopped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ships.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, but explain to people, you're saying they ended the slave trade, and yet slavery continued in the United States.
They ended the slave trade to America, meaning bringing slaves in from foreign nations to America.
Importing and exporting.
Importing and exporting.
But they did not stop
They did not stop slavery.
Yeah.
Now, the northern states they'd already stopped it. The southern states kept it alive. And the southern states, back at the time of the Constitutional Convention, as Tim was talking about, they really thought that slavery would be ended. Because quite frankly, I mean, if you just look pragmatically, slavery is not a good money-making experience. Because if you need...
At that time,
because at that time, you're going to have to take care of the health care, you're going to have to take care of the food and housing, and people that are enslaved are not going to work very productively because they're not working for themselves. That's why socialism doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You're not working for yourself. So if it had not been for the cotton gin coming out in 1803, that one slave could now do what 20 slaves did, now we want slaves because we can make it so much more productive. If it hadn't been for that technology, slavery would have ended on its own because it's just too expensive. And they recognized that, and that's why they thought by 1808 we'll be ready to end slavery. But the cotton gin comes in, and now the South wants to keep slavery. So what appeared to be a national trend to end even slavery, not just bringing slaves in. And now in 1794, George Washington signed the law that said, we will send slaves no other nation in the world. We will not export slaves anywhere. So we banned the slave trade on the export side in 1794. We banned it on the import side in 1808. And they had hoped to ban slavery about that time as well. But the cotton gin took off, and then we go to 1865.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Andrew Jackson was a slave owner, and he tried was it the Missouri Compromise?
Yeah, Andrew Jackson
kept slavery alive.
Kept slavery alive. What happened, it was really a political thing. At that point in time, you had so many parties. You had the Federalists, the Anti-Federalists, the Democrat Republicans, all these different parties, and most of them were fairly anti-slavery. But you get into this time of the cotton gin, and the southern states start moving into a different political party, and Andrew Jackson kind of becomes their head. And so if you look at the Democrat Party today, they have Jackson Day dinners. That's where they do fundraisers based on Andrew Jackson. They consider him the founder of the Democrat Party. And so that party came through and said, you know, we think the Founding Fathers got it right when they banned all slavery in all new territories. We just don't think that's fair for the slave states in the South. So we're going to pass the Missouri Compromise that said all this free territory like Missouri and Kansas, all that, you can have slavery there. And by the way, just to make sure that everything is fair, we're going to start bringing 1820. We're going to start bringing states in pairs. So if you bring in a free state,
and let's back up and clarify, because the Northwest Ordinance is what was done that said all new territories have to come in as a slave-free territory, which then became a state. And so this is when you're saying the Missouri Compromise.
And that's Ohio and Illinois and Indiana and Michigan and Minnesota.
So when we say it wasn't fair for the South to not have more pro-slavery states, it's because under the Founding Fathers, they said all new territories coming in are going to be anti-slavery, and that was the way all these states have been coming in under those provisions, under the Northwest Ordinance, up until the Missouri Compromise.
And so Missouri Compromise said, well, you know what, we're getting outnumbered. The slave states are outnumbered by the free, and that's not fair for us. So what we're going to do is say every free state that comes in, a slave state has to come in with it. And so in 1820, Maine became a state in the United States, and so did Missouri, a free state and a slave state. And so they started trying to keep it equal, which is what led to a civil war, because you can't have two equal sides that are opposite.
Well, I do want to get back to this 1619 project, but we've been talking about the Founding Fathers writing things in the Constitution that slavery would be banned, you know, in 20 years and things. But that goes against a lot of the narrative that they're saying that our Founding Fathers were just totally racist and they were total hypocrites. And that's not true.
Even back to this narrative, they said it was blacks who fought to make all men are created equal a reality. I'll point out it was whites who fought that, and blacks did too. But there's white abolitionists. That's what the Civil War was. We're the only nation in the world where whites fought whites and freed blacks as a result. And so the fact that every white was a racist, oh no, not by a long shot. And I mean, they go through, make other claims here, Tim.
And let's back up. So looking at the Founding Fathers and these accusations of them being racist or whatever the case was, there was a map done at the end of the Civil War, which showed a different perspective of the legacy of America. Because one of the things like the 1619 Project argues is that everything in America was birthed from Jamestown. The reality is, America very much is like the tale of two cities. That there were two primary colonies that had an incredible impact on America. One of them was Plymouth, why we celebrate Thanksgiving, going back to the Pilgrims, and one of them was Jamestown. Jamestown was founded as a religious colony, but as a religious colony, it was an Anglican colony, and people acknowledged Christianity, but they didn't really follow the principles of Christianity.
Wasn't real important to them. Christianity,
sounds like a lot of Christians today.
Exactly right.
As opposed to, in Plymouth, when you have literally a church coming over from Europe, and it's actually a church body coming seeking religious freedom. And you can read the writings of Governor Bradford, who says that they would spend hours a day studying the Word of God, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours a day in the Word of God.
And the reason was they had gone for 1,000 years in world history not having access to the Bible. So until 1560, there was not an English Bible English people could read. You could read it in Latin or some other language, but you couldn't get one yourself. And so the pilgrims are coming out of this thing like, this is a brand new book. We haven't seen this in 1,000 years. Oh my gosh, look what it says. Oh, they're so wrong because the Bible says this and doing that. And they were really good about diving in that book hours a day.
And the reason this matters is almost every northern colony was birthed out of Plymouth. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of southern colonies were birthed out of Jamestown, which means part of that mentality and
philosophy
legacy
of Plymouth and philosophy of Jamestown.
And philosophy came. So this was a map that was done at the end of the Civil War. And you see there is a legacy, a line from Plymouth, and you see there's a legacy and a line from Jamestown.
Plymouth and Jamestown.
And it's interesting, even the foundation of those two cities, because if you look at Jamestown, there is a coin down there and it says mammon, right? Okay. And we know that the Bible tells us about the love of money and what it produces, what it is. And in Jamestown, it's very clear from their history that the vast majority of the people from Jamestown became so consumed with that greed, lust, that they wanted money. And so slavery was a means to an end for them to accomplish their will and their purpose. And actually, you can track a lot of what it produced. And Dad, if you want to just even read some of those things.
Yeah, if you look here across, what they have is they go through some policies that led the Missouri Compromise, the Fugitive Slave Law, the Compromise 1850, Kansas-Nebraska Act, the Dred Scott decision. These are all things done by the Democrats when they were in control to ensure that slavery was across the nation. But it also has, over here, it has war and murder and rebellion, secession, sedition, superstition, ignorance, lust, avarice. The love of money is the root of all evil. And so this is what you see as the Confederacy, and it starts with Jamestown. But see, 1619 Project says this is all of America. That's not all of America. This over here goes coast to coast, and it's eventually what defeated this down here.
Well, and what was Plymouth based on? Right, because this is important.
Up here it says the Bible, and you see the Bible right here. It's based on the Bible, and as you go across, you have free schools and knowledge and free speech, and across intelligence and obedience to law and equal rights and love of country and philanthropy. All the good traits came here, and this is 1888 when they did this. So this is the end of the Civil War.
So that is an actual map?
That is an actual map that was used. This is a huge wall map that was used to teach Americans. Here's the tale of two cities. There's Jamestown and there's Plymouth. And what 1619 does is like taking the book of 1 Samuel, the story of David. We're going to tell the story of David, and all we're going to tell you is David, Bathsheba, and Uriah. We're not going to tell you about David and Goliath. We're not going to tell you about anything else. And David, 1 Samuel is all about David and Bathsheba. And that's what 1619 Project does. They said, we're going to ignore all the other history. We're only looking at this bad, and the bad stuff is there.
Well,
there's no question.
And let's even clarify, because even a lot of the bad stuff that they're saying Jamestown did,
that's true.
A lot of it's a misrepresentation. We'll spend some time talking about this. Jamestown had plenty of problems. Obviously, when you have a nation full of people, there's sinful moments from those people. There's sinful, wicked, evil moments in America's history. There's no doubt about that. But now people are actually lying about history, trying to make America look worse than what we actually did. And there's plenty of bad stuff like the story of David. There's plenty of bad stuff in the story of David, but the bad stuff isn't the full story of David. And the reality is, just like King David in the Bible, when you look at America, America's not perfect. But America is the story of how a perfect God used imperfect people and did great things through them. And part of that goes back even to why we celebrate Thanksgiving, going back to the legacy of Plymouth, the legacy of the Pilgrims, and the foundation they laid for America.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, we've laid a little foundation today saying that there's a lot of misrepresentation of all of this wokeness and cancel culture and all of this stuff, and we'll get into more detail tomorrow. But I tell you, this is really important. We should be praising God for this nation. We should be so thankful. God has blessed us like no other nation that I'm aware of, and we've got a lot to be thanking God for. And so the programs this week, I believe, are going to be giving you a lot of information that'll help. And again, go to wallbuilders.com, is that
yes, sir.
Correct? And you can get their all of their information. They got a lot of stuff. Plus, we are offering you our teaching on my teaching on the effects of praise, and I've got it in DVDs, I've got CDs, and I've also got a book on this. And it talks about how praise and thanksgiving affects you, how it affects the devil, and how it affects God. A lot of people don't understand that. So listen to our announcer as he gives you all this information, and please call or write today.
Today, you saw a portion of Andrew's interview with David and Tim Barton as they discuss America's systemically anti-racist heritage. If you'd like more information about David and Tim Barton, visit their website at wallbuilders.com.
These programs that we've done for the Thanksgiving season, I believe, are really timely. I encourage you to please get these materials. I'm offering my teaching on the effects of praise. I've got a book on it, CDs and DVDs. And then my interview with David and Tim Barton are what I'm calling Systemically Anti-Racist, where we're setting straight the true history of America and countering all of these lies that are being spoken. There's also a free little booklet about Thanksgiving that comes from the Bartons, and our announcer will give you all of the material. I encourage you to please check it out, respond, and get these materials today.
This entire interview is available in either a CD or DVD album made from our daily television broadcast. You can also get Andrew's 3-week series titled The Effects of Praise Today. This series is available as a book or in a CD or DVD album made from our daily television broadcast. Each of these valuable resources are available for a gift of any amount when you contact us. As a special offer, you can get the Thanksgiving in America tract for free today when you write or call. This offer is limited to one free item per household and is available in the US and Canada. You can order resources through our website at awmi.net. You can also order resources or receive prayer by calling our helpline at 719-635-1111. Our helpline is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To write us, use the address on your screen. We appreciate your generosity and hope to hear from you today.
I want to let you know that when you support Andrew Wommack Ministries, that we also support a lot of other ministries. We actually started the Springs Rescue Mission that is now the largest distributor of food and clothing and furniture in all of Colorado Springs. We've got ministries to orphans. We've got ministry to children that have been caught in the sex trade. We support pregnancy centers. Have actually lowered the abortion rate in Colorado to one of the lowest in the nation, and there's just a lot of things we do. So when you support here, you are helping us reach people all over the world. Before you were even formed in your mother's womb, God already had determined a purpose for your life, a God-given purpose.
God has a purpose to train you in what you're called to do, and I tell you, Charis Bible College is the place for that.
Man, if you want a life change, come to Charis.
Come on to Charis!
The next 2 to 3 years could be the most powerful time of your life.
If you sit under the Word for 4 hours a day, for 5 days a week, for 2 or 3 years, I guarantee you, you are going to have God speak to you and start revealing purpose to you. Every one of you are created for a purpose. Do you know what that purpose is?